Today we lay to rest the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Yep, that's right. Notre Dame went down in a bad way. It went out sad. Went out bad and sad. And we just shouldn't be surprised anymore. We shouldn't be surprised. Welcome into Roughing the Taker. I've been a fan of the Notre Dame Fighting Irish for 24 years, maybe more. I remember years when Brady Quinn was quarterback, Carlisle Holiday, crying my eyes out because the Notre Dame teams just couldn't get it done. And here we are, 20 years later, 20 plus years later. It's the same story. It's the same story. And I'll tell you what, that game last night, it was never close. Sure, they had a chance at the end, but not really. Not really at all. It was never close. The game last night just confirmed to me that Notre Dame will never win a national championship. Listen, the thing that really bothered me about last night is Notre Dame fans after the game. They were cheering this team on just because they made it to a national championship. That made me realize that Notre Dame is not the same Notre Dame that I grew up with. Notre Dame in the past, if they lost this big game, we hated them. There was no need to celebrate a team that lost the big game, which is nothing new. This is nothing new. They fooled us. They always fool us. Listen, I was negative this entire playoff run, and I should have just kept the negativity into the national championship. The national championship ended as all the big games do for Notre Dame. Listen, I hate to say this because I hate Brian Kelly, but he might be right. Notre Dame may never win a national championship. I don't see how it happens, okay? I'm sorry. I know a lot of people think Coach Freeman's a great coach. He's the guy for the job. But I'm not so sure. They were down 16 with 9 minutes left in the fourth quarter, and he kicks a field goal. And they miss the field goal. I just didn't understand it whatsoever. Didn't get that at all. That felt like they were going to lose this game. That was just like, we'll just make it close. It was bullshit. It was bullshit. It was a bad decision. And then on third down, at the end of the game, they have a chance. They just have to stop them. They leave Jeremiah Smith alone out there. You got to put two men on him. I don't care. It's like 3rd and 10. You could stop a running play. But you got to cover Jeremiah Smith. You cannot let him beat you. And he did. He crushed him. Crushed the souls of all Notre Dame. And then to pile on to Coach Freeman, I think they ran a QB draw 14 times in this game. I'm not exactly sure about the number, but it seemed like every time they had the ball, it was a QB draw. And it worked a little bit. It worked. But you got to come up with something different. It was annoying. It was like wasting time, just QB draw. Riley Leonard can't play quarterback. Guy can't play quarterback. And I don't know how Notre Dame keeps bringing in these kids. We got to just start developing talent. Because Riley Leonard can't play quarterback. Sam Hartman couldn't play quarterback. They can't get a guy who can play quarterback. Recruit someone. What is happening at Notre Dame? They used to always get the big name quarterbacks. Now they can't get one. I don't get it. I just don't get it. While I was watching, I was just like, I've seen this movie before. Even when they're up 7-0. I feel like in these big games, Notre Dame always gets up a little bit. And then it's just an onslaught. They get murdered. They feel good about that drive. And that drive was impressive. 18 plays. That was an impressive drive. It seemed like they were just going to bully Ohio State. But then I saw Riley Leonard after that drive, huffing and puffing. I was like, oh boy, we're in for a bad one. He was huffing and puffing. If you watch the replay when he scored, he was tired. He was done. So here's where I stand with Notre Dame. I'll never get my hopes up again. There's no reason to. Why would anyone get their hopes up for a Notre Dame team? It just doesn't make sense. I knew people paying $4,000 to go see them play. Waste of money. You're going to leave sad. You're going to leave depressed. Don't pay to go to a Notre Dame national championship. Don't pay for it. Coach Freeman seems like a good guy, but he's not going to get them there either. He won't. He's too corny. He's too rah-rah, blah, 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 blah. I don't like his schemes. I don't like what we were doing. And let's face the facts. We lost to Northern Illinois. A team that loses to Northern Illinois shouldn't even be in the national championship. Notre Dame was here because they beat Indiana, who was a joke, should not have been in the playoff at all. They beat Georgia with their backup quarterback. And then they beat Penn State, who's just as bad in big games as Notre Dame is, if not worse, with Drew Aller, who might be worse than Riley Leonard. They're neck and neck for who's the worst quarterback. And they got exposed yesterday. They tried to make it close at the end, didn't cover. And that's just Notre Dame football. That's just what it is and how it always is. And there's no excuse anymore. Look who the last national championships were. Last two. Michigan and Ohio State. Northern schools, not SEC schools. There's no excuses. That's why I'm so sick of the fans at Notre Dame. It's like Notre Dame can recruit these people. I don't get why they can't. They have just as much history, just as much money. They're making more money because they're an independent in the playoff. Get the players. There's no excuses. That's all I have to say. It's like, Notre Dame, get it together. You're a joke. You're a joke. That's what they are. They're a joke. They're getting laughed at by everyone. Everyone knows when they're in the national championship, they're going to get blown out. It won't be a game. And that's my take. Notre Dame football is finished until further notice. This is Roughing the Taker. Subscribe, like. See you next time. Oh, and I know there's some talk that The Departed is worse than The Town. Some people like The Town more. That's just a bad take. Watched The Town last night. The Departed is way better. It just is. Just a little Irish take on the back end of the Irish getting fucked. Have a good one.